Hey everyone, Rascal here, and welcome to another Rascal Reviews. This time around, I'm going to be reviewing the classic Disney film, Aladdin. And before you ask, in case you didn't see the thumbnail, it's the original 90s classic film, not the live action remake, just so we're clear on that. And I wanted to cover this because I personally kind of consider Aladdin to be a sort of romantic film. I mean, granted, it is more about the wish granting genie. It's more about be careful what you wish for, learning the value of what you have and all that. I get that, but there is a story with Aladdin and Jasmine that's actually pretty endearing, and it kind of goes along the trope of the wealthy character falls for a peasant or commoner character. Yeah, a little bit. It really does follow that, but I do like it kind of has its own spin on that. And part of it is because of, what goes without saying, Robin Williams' performance as the genie. I mean, he really made that role his, and you really can't see a genie without thinking Robin Williams. And one of the main draws for the film, and I think for a lot of people, is a relationship between Aladdin and Jasmine. And you are supposed to see this magical tale, but the biggest part of it is his romance. So, and more about the message of being yourself in the end, because as you know in the film, he wishes that he could be a very royal and famous prince, and she's not impressed by that. She's more impressed when he's being himself, and I guess the dashing the dashing man, I guess. But one thing I will say is different about it is the difference between this and live action is that live action kind of didn't focus on the relationship as much as the animated. They kind of made it more like Jasmine's story arc was more of having to stand on her own, which they try to do in the animated one anyway, but a lot of people have said that it really didn't count because they had to rely on Aladdin being there for her to grow as a character. Which I don't think anything is wrong with that, but I think for some it's a problem with a female character growing, but it has to be because of a male character. They would rather them grow on their own without the help of a male character. And you have every right to feel that way. I just don't think it's really a sound argument, because most of the time these characters are like this because they don't have another character to bounce off of. They've usually been by themselves, or they're alone, or they don't understand them, or something like that. And regardless of the character's gender, I think they can grow and become more independent or self-reliant, or learn to get along with others with another character, regardless if they're male or female or other. So I personally disagree with that statement, but if that's how you feel about it, it's completely fine. Now for the movie Aladdin, I think it's still a story that holds up. There might be a little bit of cheesy moments now, but it still has that charm. It still has the fantasy element. It has great humor and comedic timing, and a fantastic voice cast. Like I said, the standout, the one that pretty much stole the movie, was Robin Williams as the genie. Spectacular animation, and you really miss when they had hand-drawn Disney films. And it's just a really, really great movie. I mean, I really can't recommend it enough. There were 2 sequels, a spin-off series, and a live-action adaptation. For me, I haven't really seen the other 2 movies. I've heard about them, and what I heard, the second one's the weakest, and the third one is the stronger one. And it's kind of weird with some of these Disney sequels that usually come out on DVD or something, is that usually the second ones aren't that interesting, but the third ones they do are spectacular. Like with the Cinderella 3 movie I hear a lot about, the third Lilo and Stitch movie I hear a lot about, and the Aladdin third movie I hear a lot about. So I will have to check out a lot of more of these direct-to-DVD Disney movies now, because I keep hearing these reputations for some of them either being great or just unwatchable. So I'm going to have to look more into that. But for, Aladdin, I think the whole movie is still great. It still holds up. It still has charm. It doesn't feel like you're watching anything that's really older, unless you pay attention to the type of films that Disney has now. And the romance in there, they really don't have a lot of romantic type films or films that focus on a romance where the 2 leading them together. I mean, the only new one you have now that really focuses on that is Elemental. I mean, at the time this video is being made and is released, it's not out yet, but it seems like Elemental is doing that theme again. Because you think about it, Disney and Pixar haven't really done a romantic type movie, or a movie where the two main characters end up together. They really haven't done that in a few years, which is great that they're branching out to do other stuff, but you kind of miss these types of films they would do, and the hero getting the girl in the end, or the girl getting the guy in the end. I do kind of miss those, so it is nice to see that this movie still has a fandom, and it has a long-lasting legacy, and is still considered one of the great Disney classics. Plus, another thing I gotta bring up quickly is the mention of a play. I did not mention just a minute ago, but it came to mind now. It's actually learned this thanks to Vision Workings. There's actually a fan-made play titled, I think it was called Twisted, the Story of a Royal Vizier. And it's actually a play on YouTube made by, I think it said, Team Star Kid, I believe. And Vision told us about it. And it's actually a hilarious parody of the Aladdin film. It's back. Actually, I'm sorry. It's a parody of Aladdin and the play Wicked, where, if you know what Wicked is about, it's about apparently the backstory of the Wicked Witch and the Good Witch of the North, and how they were friends and later became enemies. And it was a really standout play, which started the whole villain didn't start out as a villain type trope that Disney ended up stealing. They made a play, and they had Jafar be the main character. And instead of him being this really ghastly, crazy villain that you see in Aladdin, he's actually really simple. He's kind-hearted, and there's lots of twists and turns and things, and they kind of make fun of the Disney film. Things you really didn't think about the film as a kid, but you think about the doll, Aladdin possibly being like a better-looking version of Minetta when you think about it, and they really exaggerate certain things, and I think it's pretty hilarious that they actually took the time and made a pretty great parody of it. And you can see there's like two versions of it, the regular one and then one where they kind of take out all the swearing in there. So you actually have a different version to watch each time if you really don't want to hear all the swearing and some of the things and jokes that are said. But the original does have a lot of great jokes in there that does have to rely on the swearing, so you just kind of do that for yourself. And it was a pretty funny play. It was pretty well made, and I recommend both Aladdin and this play to you guys. And that's pretty much it that I have to say on the film. I consider it one of their best Disney classic films, and it's one of those films that really can't be remade into something else. I mean, I did surprisingly like live action Aladdin, but not as much as the animated one. I think the animated one just has its own charm and its own identity that you really can't top it. There's really no way to duplicate that or recreate it in any way possible. And it doesn't feel dated at all either. So, what do you guys think of the animated Aladdin movie? Did you like it? Did you love it? Or did you really not care for it? Tell me what you think of any of these opinions in the comments below. I love to hear and respond to them. And thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting. I appreciate all of you viewing, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.